This is pretty optimistic. And it's also fun, and it might just be realistic. NFL legend Torrey Holt joined Kay Adams. Kay asked about the next 2,000-yard wide receiver. This, a fun clip for Bengals fans.
Calvin Johnson he recently talked about the possibility of his receiving yards record eventually being broken, which I think is a little cheeky. Like, I don't know if he really means that. I think he's pretty confident what he's got. But if you had to call your shot, which receiver do you think? And that is 1,964 yards, though I'm sure I don't have to remind you. Who could do it?
That is a lot of yards. I mean, you look at this list, Puka, Jamar, Jefferson, JSN, Pickens. I mean, they all are certainly capable of doing it. If I had to guess, with a healthy Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, I think, will be first. Then I will go with JSN because he's just so good and just really good at getting open, getting the ball in his hands, being available. So those two come to mind. But I would say Jamar Chase, again, with a healthy Joe Burrow, probably will maybe scratch the surface of what Calvin Johnson was able to do.
Yeah, look, I get it. I understand the logic behind it. We've seen some crazy Jamar Chase seasons. He had 1,708 yards, won the Triple Crown in 2024. That's called the no look. Didn't even have to look at the 17 touchdowns that he had that season. Will he top that? You buying this idea that, hey, if you did the over-under game at 2,000, Jamar could hit the over?
I'm going to buy that of that list, he's the one that's most likely to achieve this at some point in his career, but I think I have to sell the fact that it will actually happen. It's just the fact that it hasn't been done before, and you talk about those numbers Jamar had in 2024, a Triple Crown season, an MVP caliber season out of Joe Burrow, and he still came up about 300 yards short of that mark.
Oh,
I mean, for a 17-game schedule, he'd have to average over 117 yards per game. I just don't see how that's going to happen when you have T. Higgins, who's also going to be demanding, almost just as many targets as Jamar.
You hear that, Jamar? I'm not knocking you as a doubt. I'm just making.
I'm not doubting he has the capability and the tools to do it. I just don't see it happening.
1,700 yards in 2024, just over 100-yard average per game on the season. They play the Chiefs at home this year, so that's an easy 250 yards against the Chiefs. And if he just does the 100 every other game, he should be right there within striking distance.
That's that Sanex math right there. I like it.
Yeah, so I'm buying that it's feasible, but the reason why I'm selling that he gets there is because I think T. Higgins is going to be healthy and on the field and incredibly productive. I think just as much of a fun question for the Bengals is could the two of them combine for 3,000 yards instead of Jamar getting 2. I think T is going to take away a lot of those opportunities for Jamar just on the straight counting front, and they're both dominant receivers. And I mean, if you have other wide receiver twos like George Pickens on that list, why not include T. Higgins? But Jamar Chase is certainly the most likely in the league to get 2,000.
Yeah, George Pickens isn't getting 2,000 yards, so we'll start there. No. It's going to be really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
The offense in Los Angeles flows through Puka Nacua to a big extent. So could I see him? I could. Mm-hmm. Like prime Cooper Kupp, right there. I think Jamar very much could do this. I think in 2024, if they're better, the numbers are better. He had 17 touchdowns that year. He dropped 2 or 3 touchdowns late in the season that I'm not going to let him forget about because he should have gotten to 20 touchdown catches that year. And instead, he just tied Carl Pickens for the franchise record in a single season. He left some plays out there. And the other thing that I know, in Chase's world, after his rookie year, there were talks like, oh, could I get to 2,000? And he had the 1,400 yards as a rookie. Can I get to 2,000? And he, as good as he was as a rookie, is so much more farther along now. How they use him, how they find ways to get him the ball. Now, he faces the way defenses approach Jamar, and this would be my biggest pushback, the way they approach Jamar, no other receiver in football is guarded like Jamar. Not Jackson Smith and Jigba and the attention he commands, no one like that, especially with Joe Burrow on the field because he's such a weapon. He's so game-changing. He's a big reason why Tyreek got traded from the Chiefs, and they revamped that entire secondary, and they put more assets and resources in that cornerback room. And it worked. The Chiefs revamped things, and it worked for them. So is Jamar a game changer enough to do it? I think so. My only hang-up, the only reason why I'm not saying over, literally, I mean, he had 1,400 yards with the Joes and Jake last year. 2 Joes and a Jake, that's a lot. That's a lot to catch passes from. My only hang-up is how defenses defend him. He commands so much more attention than these other guys. Justin Jefferson's the other one that commands that type of attention, but Puka doesn't. The way he's used, it's different. You can't treat him the same way. Smith and Jigba, all these other guys. So Jamar, certainly capable. The attention he gets, I'm not sure Joe is going to force it when he has all these other weapons that he certainly trusts.
Well, I think the difference between Jamar and a lot of the other players on that list as well is quarterback play, which is going to vault him up above most of those guys. I mean, if Puka Nacua is going to do it, he's going to do it in the next 2 years with Matthew Stafford, or 3 years down the line when Ty Simpson's ready and is a polished NFL quarterback. Drake May, A.J. Brown, sure, but the rest of these guys, Jared Goff, is he going to have a 2,000-yard receiver?
You're telling me Jared Goff isn't Joe Burrow?
I know you're a big Jared Goff guy, but I am going to make that
most
take.
overrated outside of your guy Dak.
Well, my guy Dak's on this list too. I was going to say the same thing. He's a good big stats guy, but with those two receivers, I don't think either of them are going to get close to 2,000 either. The one that I think skill-wise has a chance to get there would be JSN or Justin Jefferson. Neither of them, I think, have the QB play to get there. You don't?
And he was close last year, but I think that's career high for sure. See, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If that's your career high, I mean, offensive player of the year.
I just think he's messing around those numbers for a while now.
Could.
In that echelon.
Or he'll get that attention.
That's also true. It changes things
Yep.
pretty drastically when you have a season like that. But the difference between the number one receivers in the league's quarterbacks and the security of those quarterbacks and Jamar's is staggering when you look at it like this. So I think that's another thing that puts Jamar significantly above the rest of these guys, is he has so many more chances to get it done because of that security.
No, he absolutely does. But I'm going to go back to, I just don't see it happening if T. Higgins is healthy. I mean, you look at that 2024 season where Jamar had over 1,700 yards. T missed 5 games that year, and he still had over 900 yards in just 12 outings, averaging almost 76 yards a game. So that's where I lie. If Jamar is going to break this, that production, those numbers have to come away from someone else. And when you have a T. Higgins who could be a wide receiver one on nearly every other team in this league, I just have a hard time seeing Jamar getting to that threshold.
We were talking about wide receiver 3 earlier this week. What if wide receiver 3 just doesn't exist and there's 4,000 yards and they're divvied up, 22 and 17 between the two? Like, that's where I have such a hard time wrapping my head around.
22 and 17 would be crazy.
I have such a hard time wrapping my head around Jamar getting to 2,000 yards because of the other talent in that room. And obviously you mentioned T, but Mike Gesicki is a huge receiver in that room. You have Colby Young, you just drafted this year. Andre Yoshivas in a contract year. Chase Brown gives you something in the receiving game out of the backfield as well. I just think there's a lot of mouths to feed, and obviously that's not going to take away from Jamar. I think he can win Offensive Player of the Years and be the best receiver in the league like he has been for the last however many years. But I just have a hard time seeing him get to that number with all those other mouths on the Bengals offense.
Yeah, I get it. I do. And yet when I think about it, I would almost bet that Chase and his people are thinking 2K.
I think he should be.
Yeah.
Because it is feasible.
Much like Burrow's like, doable. Like with and Joe said 48 touchdowns is doable. You know he's thinking about 55.
Yes.
That's the record.
56.
Yeah, 56, setting the record, not just tying it. Sure. Jamar's definitely thinking 2,000. And with the 17 games, let's do this. What do you think the record is if Jamar Chase has 2,000 yards? Is it a good thing? Or is it a bad thing because of health and all of those? Because I think that's interesting too. Like 2000's record setting, 1,708 was record setting, and it clearly was in a down year where they lost more than they won. They were 4-8 after the first day in December.
I think that means T. Higgins misses significant time. I think that means the run game isn't very good, and I think that means the defense is struggling.
Wow.
Because
you think they stink?
I think it's very similar to 2024.
I agree with that, because you're also now passing more late in games instead of being able just to kind of run out the clock. So I worry about that too. Unless, you're getting out to crazy 40-point leads, which...
And maybe you chase a record, but realistically, I just have a hard time believing Jamar's numbers take a huge jump from 2024 if the team is significantly better, which I expect them to be.
The 2012 Lions, my goodness, 1,964 yards for Calvin. You guys know the Lions record?
No.
4-12.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I was I remember that season. I'm stunned they were 4-12. God, they wasted Calvin and Stafford.
But then you do look at Cooper Kupp, who had the 1947 in 2021.
And that's the blueprint.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that's what it is. You have this offense that's going through the quarterback and the receiver, and
there was no T. Higgins on that Rams team.
No doubt. And would they use him like Kupp? You know, if you do, great. Then tease your deep threat along with Andre, Colby. Like, who knows? Who knows exactly how it would work out, how it would play out? I do think it's interesting, though, like, is it good for the Bengals if he has 2,000 yards? On the surface, you'd say yes, but if you dive into it, the wise part of it, right? And so we'll see. But if everybody's healthy, then I think it would probably be good. Probably.
Yeah,
because then maybe
if
you're just
everyone
talking
plays,
about 2007 Patriots and the offense.
Absolutely,
is amazing.
yeah. If everyone plays the whole year and everyone's healthy, then yeah, it's a great thing. Because I think the floor for this team is pretty high if everyone's healthy all year long.